Civic Center TV on Twitter and Civic Center TV 15 on Facebook. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home. Stay tuned for the Splash Live. It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the Greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host for the day, Jake Schaff, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. And here in West Bloomfield, work is being done every day to make the four communities that much better. And one of the ways to do that is by bringing together people of different backgrounds and beliefs to find that common goal. And that, of course, transcends to faith. Every month, the Greater West Bloomfield Faith and Community Alliance meets to form a sense of unity and tranquility throughout the city. I had the chance to attend their most recent meeting and learn from some of the members as to why this alliance is so important for the four communities.
This organization represents the heart and soul of Greater West Bloomfield. The members of clergy with members in the community come together with a common interest. How can we connect? How can we collectively add greater value, greater insight, and understanding across the entire community?
This was my first experience with being part of a group like this in my professional capacity. I do attend church in my personal life, so I'm familiar with the faith-based organizations and the way they operate and the thought processes. But this is the first time that I've had the opportunity to participate in something like this through a work setting, and it was really nice to see a wide array of different personalities and backgrounds, and people from different walks of life come together and have the same goals in mind.
What is it like to communicate with these big community heads in this way?
Oh, it's wonderful. It's so much fun to get to spend time with all of these wonderful, amazing people who are spending their lives leading communities of care and mission and taking care of other folks. It's been a wonderful privilege. It's not just a matter of doing what Methodists do, but when we work together, we can accomplish so much more, have a bigger impact, and come to a greater understanding of who one another is, so that as human beings that are trying to just be the best that we can be in this community, we can do that better when we're working together and coming to common understandings of who we are.
It's great because, to be able to discuss various things that are the same, really. I mean, we're all people, and how we approach, God. Three of the religions come from the same source. So, it's nice to meet the other leaders and their people and find out more about them and how we relate. We're so much more alike than different. And if we look at the likeness or the sameness instead of how we're different, then we can do a lot more for the community and beyond.
I think because the example that we show, it shows people that they can come together too, and it's okay if you're different and come together. You're not always going to agree, but you can find some places of agreement and make an impact on not just your community, but the wider world.
That's absolutely right. This is a very strong example for what we should be seeing not just in West Bloomfield, but throughout the entire world, where people of different beliefs and different advocacies join together to find that common purpose and to ultimately make a greater difference in their communities. So a big thank you once again to the Faith and Community Alliance for having me attend this meeting. It was a very enlightening experience, and can't wait to see what they do for the rest of the community. A Scotch elementary student just won the United We Walk contest. Yesterday, Scotch elementary student Karina Mangrulkar was honored for her winning button design for the upcoming United We Walk event. Karina's design beautifully reflects this year's theme, Continuing the Dream, Building Bridges of Unity. The 31st annual United We Walk event is just around the corner, so mark your calendars for 2 p.m. on Sunday, January 19th at West Bloomfield Middle School. In case of inclement weather, the march will be held indoors so everyone can participate and honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy in the proper way. To check out Karina's button design or for more information on this inspiring community event, go to the Facebook page of the West Bloomfield School District at West Bloomfield Schools to see them for yourself and to learn more about this incredible event. Today is National Cut Your Energy Costs Day, which means that with the colder months upon us, finding ways to keep your home cozy while saving on energy costs is a very big priority for a lot of people. Civic Center TV's Kevin McIntosh revisits some valuable tips to help you stay warm and save money this winter.
I'm here in West Bloomfield with a local homeowner to see how energy efficient materials and upgrades can help you save money. As we spoke to the West Bloomfield home inspector, we also found out how we can keep our Metro Detroit homes comfortable during the winter season.
So the thing about sort of the greater Metro Detroit area in general is we have everything from brand new builds to homes built, in the late 1800s. So in that you end up, really old homes, there's almost no insulation in them, right? Energy efficiency wasn't a thing back then. And then, you have homes like this one that were built, in the late 50s, 60s. There's lots of those in West Bloomfield. And those homes may have some insulation or some energy efficiency, but there are lots of things that can be done to those homes as well.
In Greater West Bloomfield, we enjoy our local lakes during the summer, but we find ways to protect our homes from the lake effect wind during the winter.
Particularly if your home has older windows and on that lake or windward facing side, you can get like a plastic film that can go over those, because odds are you're probably not going out those windows and doors. You're not opening them this time of year anyway. So you can put something like that, because even that amount will stop quite a bit the actual physical draft when you're getting wind forcing that air in.
Some of the energy saving changes you make may depend on your current status and future plans.
So as a renter, obviously you're not going to be putting in brand new windows or things like that, but you don't really have to. There are a lot of things that you can pick up from any big box home improvement store, to stop door drafts, to wrap around windows, gaskets that seal around those things, all of that stuff. You can get window film. If your home that you're renting has older inefficient windows, you can put window film on the inside. Even things like heavy curtains, can reduce your energy loss through windows by about 10%. But as a homeowner now, depending on how long you want to live in the house, may also determine the amount of material upgrades you want to do. Things like more energy efficient windows, doors, adding insulation to your attic. If you live in an older home, there may be very little or no insulation in the attic. And that's a tremendous amount of heat loss to an attic. And there are a lot of programs that are available both through the utility companies, DTE and consumers, as well as there are state and federal programs that are called HOMES, HOMES, and HEAR, HEAR, that will give you pretty big rebates for all sorts of those upgrades.
By making small choices and choosing the right material, West Bloomfield homeowners and renters alike can make their homes more energy efficient and environmentally friendly. From West Bloomfield, I'm Kevin McIntosh, Civic Central TV.
A big thank you to Kevin for going out and getting that story and some very important tips for everyone to keep in mind as winter continues to roll on right here in Michigan. So very important tips to keep in mind and to stay safe and warm this winter. Finals week is quickly for our high school kids, which can bring forward a lot of stress and anxiety, especially as they also try to navigate extracurricular activities and a very important schedule to try and make a good impression for potential colleges. Here to offer some guidance on navigating final season, we have a counselor with the West Bloomfield High School, Joanne Vijinovich, joining us right now on The Splash. Joanne, good morning.
Good morning, Jake. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too. Glad to have you with us and really interested to get into this conversation because finals week is almost here. I'm sure a lot of kids are really nervous and really looking forward to getting these finals done and looking forward to their future. What are some common behaviors you tend to see from the kids around this time of year?
Being overwhelmed. Just, knowing that this final's kind of coming. Some, it is a cumulative final, so it's all of semester. Some, they just might have a project or, a final or test for just a chapter from there. We find that we really work a lot with kids with time management, especially right now, with them kind of doing a schedule where they should have already been starting to study this week for their final exams, which are next week. And we're not talking about like 10 to 15 hours at a time. We're talking about a half an hour reviewing notes, making study guides, whether it is through a Quizlet, study cards, studying with a partner, going over different problems. There's some different websites that each subject might use. Like example of Khan Academy might have some stuff for math for them. So we're really encouraging early, studying in smaller increments. So it is not just like a dump in there for put as much information in at what time and not being able to retain it. And then we also have study sessions with different teachers that kind of post some things. So we're always encouraging kids to do that. As we kind of get into the especially first round for our ninth graders doing exams the first time they've ever done it. So what to kind of expect with them. We've done some stuff with ninth grade advisories trying to prepare them for this.
That's absolutely right. Lots of really important things that they have to get into right now. And speaking from experience, I will tell you, Quizlet is a very helpful guide. Certainly saved my butt back when I was dealing with finals. But what would you say are some of the biggest concerns that these kids have, especially not only dealing with finals, but also trying to navigate so many other things to try to get into a good college?
I think a lot of it is time management of they feel like they have to do everything at once. So they might be into a sport, but they don't have any job experience and they're trying to get a job, trying to also do community service at that time, where I say spread it out. So if you know that your busiest season because you're in basketball right now, it is maybe during the spring and the fall, we focus a little bit more on you to be working with community service and kind of getting more of those hours in. Finding just balance. That is, I think, one of the hardest things, even from COVID, is kids having balance. Because if you're going to be busy for 20 hours of the day, when are you going to rest? When are you going to be able to recoup? And so that we find that the busier that they are, the more stressed that they may become. So we really try to work on that. I said time management and even a calendar, being all right, I know that I want to get into this school. I'm really interested in occupational therapy. Maybe in the summer, can we have you work with an occupational therapist? Can we, have some other different things, but to use it in a timeline instead of I have to leave to go to college in 2 months. What can I do for this? What, trying to figure out in the next few years or try to do a plan. We're meeting with our students at least 2 to 3 times a year, much more on many other occasions, but of kind of get those things in place for them early on. So in 10th grade, if they really feel like they want to go do this, setting them up with the stuff they need to be successful to get into those colleges. So early on interaction and then trying to kind of plot that out.
You're absolutely right. Make sure you manage that time and make sure you use it very wisely. Now, Joanne, I was a high school student once, and you were a high school student once as well, and the landscape has changed a lot from dealing with finals then to dealing with finals now. What would you say are some of the biggest things that kids are dealing with now that maybe they didn't have to deal with back when you were in high school?
I would say it's just a different way of studying and different ways of, different project-based stuff. I can, test that we didn't have a lot of AI stuff, or we didn't have as many tools. So like when we say Quizlet, when I was in, high school, I was using a lot of flashcards, or like my friends and I would make up different stuff, or like we had to do a lot more of that legwork where there's a lot of resources, I think, for the kids now. But them to be able to find it and still like let them know that you have to put in the work still. That they feel like sometimes they want something instantaneous and they think that's just it. But you really still have to put in the work for the understanding, having that deeper comprehension of things, and kind of really being able to recite it back to you, Jake. So like if I take in a theory, I have to be able to tell you exactly what that means so I understand it myself.
For those just joining us on the Splash Live, we have the counselor with the West Bloomfield High School, Joanne Vajinovich, joining us right now to talk about some tips and some skills for high school students to be aware of as final season continues to approach, and they're dealing with a lot of stress and a lot of nervousness as those finals really come soon. So with dealing with these tests, what would you say are some of the biggest pieces of advice you could tell these kids to keep in mind, not just regarding these tests, but also regarding their future in general?
So I think two things kind of come to mind. Have a study plan. That is huge. Then the other part is this is just one piece of their whole, makeup. So like, let's say they don't do as well on the test and they get a C on this test. Does this make or break them? No, it does not, because it is one slice of many different slices that colleges will be looking at. But I do encourage after finals, let's look about what we could have done differently. How could we have made it? I know that you're disappointed that you may have gotten a C on this final. What could we have changed for next time? Because I think that is also really good to kind of reflect of what really works for you and what does not work for you. Because we have some kids that, can memorize like in a heartbeat. And we have other kids that have a harder time with it. Other kids really do well on reading, but math is a struggle for them. So really knowing what's doing well for them personally and really kind of building on that. Because what we want them to have is great skills going into college. So we're like kind of like a work in progress with, making sure we have skills. Often we talk about like middle school might have been really easy for some kids. They've never had a challenge, really. They've never really had to study really hard. And when we get to high school, we finally get to kind of have that evening point where they might have now more of a challenge and they don't know how to study because life has been so easy for them. So really kind of teaching them how to study and how to kind of go back to like kind of look at those things of, you just can't sit in class and retain it and take that test anymore because we are getting to that higher level thinking. So like really teaching them how to kind of pull that back and how to study for that kind of stuff.
Those study skills are things that absolutely you should have ingrained in your mind as soon as possible. And I actually think I had those ingrained when I was in middle school. That's when I noticed the big change from the kinds of content I was studying from elementary school up to middle school. It was a very big shift, and it took me some time to get used to it. But you're absolutely right in that these are skills that people need to retain. And we just talked about that a little bit in terms of maybe things don't work out for these kids on the final as they had hoped they would, and you were offering some advice for things to look out for. What are some other pieces of advice you could offer kids if things start to go in a different direction than they had initially seemed?
So biggest thing too, so when they start feeling like they're not understanding and start things like even in the class start to go south, they're hesitant to always ask for help. So if you're already at an F, you should have been probably asking for help when your grade's starting to slip down to a B or a C. So if you're going one whole grade down, it is asking for help. We do have some different things that we can do at the high school where we do have an advisory hour that can travel so you can get extra tutoring with a certain teacher if you need it. Reaching out, and we do have like tutoring here through NHS students. A lot of the teachers have different times, which they might come early in the morning or stay a little late in the afternoon or have luncheon, like drop-ins, where they can also get another help, from there too. But having the kids utilize that we don't want you to wait till you're all the way dug yourself a huge hole to try to get yourself out of that, to kind of use those techniques. And there's no shame in that. We've all had to ask for help one way or another, but to like kind of advocate for yourself. So building those tools to advocate like, hey, I'm not understanding this. I need to have a little extra help.
There's certainly no shame in asking for help. Joanne, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I got one more question before I let you go. Any final bits of encouragement you could offer these kids with finals approaching very quickly?
Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Like thinking that to study all night and then come in with no sleep, that doesn't do you anything great either. So making sure you're eating well, getting enough fluids, getting your proper amount of sleep, making that study schedule. It's still not too late because you still have a few days before we're starting into finals. So even saying if you're studying for an hour tonight and 3 hours tomorrow, and really just trying to not overdo it, but still make yourself kind of do that study for schedule, because I think when we get so overwhelmed, it's like a shutdown mode. But if you have a schedule and you kind of stick to it, give yourself some breaks, I think life will feel a little bit easier for you. And it's normal to feel a little nervous with a big test. Making sure that you kind of understand that.
Stick to that schedule, and yeah, all-nighters might not be your friend in this scenario. But Joanne, I want to thank you so much for your time today and coming on The Splash.
Thank you, Jake, for everything. You take care, okay?
You take care as well. Thank you. Lots of important information, and hopefully some high school students are watching right now and will keep these tips in mind as they start to prepare for final season very, very soon. Your chance to join the West Bloomfield Police Department and to become a dispatcher is available right now to help all public safety. The West Bloomfield Police Department is hiring dispatchers. So if you're looking for a chance to make a difference in your community and be a part of this incredible team, this is your chance. And here to tell us some more about the dispatchers of the police department, we have one of them joining us right now, Jen Curran from the West Bloomfield Police Department. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Really happy to have you with us and really happy to be getting into this topic of conversation. What can you tell us about what dispatchers do for the West Bloomfield Police Department?
So our dispatchers answer both 911 emergency and then our non-emergency lines. We answer phone calls for West Bloomfield, Kego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, and Orchard Lake. We handle all 4 cities. For our emergency lines, we handle police, fire, and medical. Then we also monitor all the radio traffic for all 4 cities for the police and fire departments. We keep track of things going on in the township and where everybody's at and what they're doing.
Wow, so this expands well beyond just what the police department does. This expands to everything.
Yes, yeah, we are kind of a control center for the city.
That's certainly a lot of responsibility for someone like you and for someone to take on for the city, and a very, very important job. What are some characteristics that are very important to have if you want to become a dispatcher for West Bloomfield?
The biggest one is really you have to be calm under pressure. When people are calling us, they are experiencing the emergency. They're looking for calm and guidance. You have to be able to think on your feet real fast, come up with some creative solutions sometimes to the things people are calling about, and just really be able to multitask between our different systems and all the different people we have out there serving the community.
Interesting. So definitely a lot to keep an eye on. And what about some of the difficulties that come with a job like this? Because I would imagine in an environment like the police station, things can get very stressful, especially if it is a very, very high emergency.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the hardest parts sometimes is just balancing all the different things we have going on. When you have different units and people at different places and they're all handling different kinds of incidents, it can become very confusing and overwhelming about remembering who is where and what they're doing and making sure that they are safe and everybody's accounted for, as well as still continuing to maintain your duties in the center of continuing to answer those incoming phone calls and keep track of the radio traffic that's going on and just making sure everything's handled. Another challenge to this is sometimes listening to those difficult phone calls where people are really going through a traumatic and stressful time, and it weighs on you and it's heavy on your heart, and sometimes you carry it with you, but we just got to remember we're there to help and help them get through it.
For those just joining us, we have Jen Curran from the West Bloomfield Police Department, who's a dispatcher, telling us about her position and what they're looking for from other people who might be interested in joining the police department as dispatchers. And Jen, I want to ask you, what made you want to decide to join the West Bloomfield Police Department as a dispatcher? What made you want to go into this line of work?
So I've always had an interest in public safety, helping people, being involved in the community, and the world of dispatch really let me be involved in that in a way where I could be an active part of it and I could help people that you don't always hear about and people kind of forget is there. And what I had found is that I really, truly love being involved. I love being able to help people over the phone and listen to that relief come over their voice when they know help is on the way, and really just kind of help take care of the community in a way that's kind of behind the scenes.
Interesting. And it's great, everything that you do. And I think you just touched on this just a little bit in what you just said, but talk to me about what about this job is so fulfilling for you and what you really gain from this position?
It really is helping the people, helping the community. You build really strong relationships with people over the years here and through different things that we experience, both good and bad, and just being able to take all that knowledge you gain from one phone call and use it for the next one and help that next person just a little bit better and really realize that you made a difference and they appreciate what you're doing.
And I would imagine in working with the community and being out at a lot of these community events, seeing a lot of these people firsthand, what have been some of the things that local residents have had to say to you regarding the work that you do and showing their gratitude?
The citizens are always very grateful. We have a few that actually recognize the voices of a couple of our other dispatchers, and they go, "Oh my gosh, I just spoke to you last week and you helped me out. I'm so appreciative. I'm grateful." They ask a lot of questions about the work we do and how it works and how the process goes, and just being able to educate them and let them build on that knowledge is so great when you're able to go out there and meet people.
And that's amazing for making those bonds with the community. And the fact that they recognize you just from your voice says a lot, and says a lot of the great work that you do. And are these a lot of the characteristics that you hope people gain if they join the West Bloomfield Police Department and join the dispatching team?
Oh, absolutely. And we always try to encourage it through our training and the training we send them to and provide. And then just their interactions with the citizens as well. It really builds a lot on your relationships, like I had said, with the people in the community, just those day-to-day interactions.
Awesome. Well, Jen, I really want to thank you so much for your time here on The Splash today. One more question before we let you go. Can you provide a little more information on what the West Bloomfield Police Department is looking for in regards to their dispatchers?
So our dispatchers, you have to be 18 or older. You have to have a high school diploma. We do prefer college, but it's not required. And you really just have to have a willingness to learn, because we will offer you all the training on the job. We send you to any mandatory training, and we really try to just kind of take care of you once you're in the door and get you geared up to be one of our great dispatchers.
All right, you heard it here first. That's what they're looking for, and that is what the West Bloomfield Police Department wants on their team. Jen, thank you so much for your time today here on The Splash.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Some very valuable information about a very important role with the West Bloomfield Police Department. Great to have Jen on the show to talk about this, and really interested to see some future dispatchers that can come from this program. So really excited to see what's going to come next. As we talked about earlier in the show, the United We Walk event is an annual event embracing the influence and impact of Dr. King's dream. And it's going to be an amazing event, creating a beloved community that fosters inclusivity, unity, and mutual respect. And we have some of the student co-chairs of this event joining us right now on The Splash. The first one we have Kate Mandel joining us right now. Kate, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Really happy to have you with us. Really happy to hear about your role with a very important event like this. What does participating in the United We Walk mean to you personally, and how does it reflect your values?
Being a co-chair on the United We Walk committee for the second year in a row is very rewarding, as I see the various ways it unites our community and families all over. It reflects my values because I understand the importance of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s message and coming together as one.
Awesome. Really, really well put together. And it's great to see how much of an influence that we have with the younger generation having on an event like this. And the theme for this event this year is building bridges of unity. What does that theme mean to you, and how do you think that this event is going to help achieve that goal?
Yeah, so I think the event itself of United We Walk is building bridges of unity because it unites all parts, leaders of the community, as in students, the churches, the libraries, senators, teachers, doctors. It brings all different groups of the community together to celebrate the event and the legacy.
Great. And you guys are going to be getting a lot of help from Dr. Roy Bishop Jr. for this event. How has his leadership and background contributed to the mission of United We Walk, would you say?
Dr. Bishop is a very inspirational person. He was recognized by the Grosse Pointe NAACP branch. He received an amazing award that proves how much of a successful and great leader he is. We're so excited to welcome him in on the day of the event and hear his keynote speech, and we continue to support him in all that he's done.
Yeah, I'm sure that would have a great impact on speaking to a lot of the kids here with the high school. And how do you think that the students and younger generations can really carry forward Dr. King's legacy in today's world?
Yeah, that's really important. Students and younger generations can continue Dr. King's legacy in today's world by participating and serving in events like United We Walk to provide opportunities to just learn and grow and help each other out.
That's amazing to hear. I got one more question for you, Kate, before we let you go. Dr. Bishop emphasizes be a leader, be a learner, be kind. How do you see these values aligning with this event's goals?
Yeah, these goals are things we will emphasize at this event, and people will walk away knowing it is something that they should always and forever do as a community member. There are opportunities to learn at the event from Dr. Bishop himself with his keynote speech, to be kind to the person next to you and lead to the next best thing.
Well, that is great to hear, Kate. I want to thank you so much for your time today and for having you with us on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Really, really important things and really important messages for everyone to keep in mind as United We Walk is going to be approaching very, very soon. And we have another one of the co-chairs joining us right now on the Splash in just a moment, learning about this great event that's going to be celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King's dream, which, by the way, that is going to be taking place on Sunday, January 19th for everyone in the community. And we have the next co-chair joining us right now, Inaya Qureshi, joining us right now on the Splash. Inaya, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Really, really good, and glad to be talking with you this morning about your role with the United We Walk event. Now, being a young leader in promoting Dr. King's message of unity, how does that affect you in reaching out to the West Bloomfield community?
I think that...
Oh, looks like we had a quick little audio glitch. We're going to be working through that in just a moment to get Inaya back here on the show. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to work this out, and we'll be right back with more on the Splash Live. Live, local, social, it's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live. Find local municipal meetings at our program schedule on civiccentertv.com. Find when your meetings air live or when they're replaying on our Civic Center TV live stream. Find it all at civiccentertv.com and click schedule at the top of the screen.
Hi, I'm Chris Fry. Park Superintendent, West Bloomfield Parks. Congratulations, Civic Center TV, on 1 million views on YouTube. Thank you for all you do in the community, and thank you for having me on The Splash throughout the season to talk about activities out in the parks. Chris Fry, proud to be 1 in a million.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
Find local municipal meetings at our program schedule on civiccentertv.com. Find when your meetings air live or when they're replaying on our Civic Center TV live stream. Find it all at civiccentertv.com and click schedule at the top of the screen. And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Jake Schaff, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. Apologies for the technical difficulties that occurred just a moment ago. We're still working with Inaya to get her back on the show to talk about her role with the United We Walk event. In the meantime, we are going to be moving on to another very big story that's coming up soon in the community, as today is the end of an era with the retirement of West Bloomfield Police Chief Michael Patton becoming official at the end of this week. And that means that Deputy Chief Dale Young will be taking the oath of office as chief this afternoon, as will Scott Mong to succeed Young as Deputy Chief of Police. Civic Center TV's Tyler Keefe spoke to a local West Bloomfield resident, Daryl Reed, after the chief's initial final board meeting in December to get a resident's perspective on his very long career in West Bloomfield.
Good morning. It's a pleasure being with you and on Splash again.
Yeah, and it's great, and it's a great occasion too, because we're dedicating some time to someone that has really made a widespread impact on our community. It's not often, and Julie Beatty from the West Bloomfield School Board had said this during the public comment as they recognized, as the Township Board recognized Chief Patton, that it's not often that the chief of police is so well respected and is considered essentially a friend to people of the public. Why do you believe that is the case here in West Bloomfield with West Bloomfield Police Chief Michael Patton as he approaches his retirement? Why he's considered to be really a friend of the residents and the general public?
Well, my experience has been with Chief Patton that he's always been willing to go above and beyond just a job description of his position. He's always interacted with the community. He's been very supportive of things happening in West Bloomfield. When I chaired the Juneteenth event, he always made sure that we had appropriate police coverage and support there in a time when gun violence was very high and still remains high. So I think that his personal relationships and his ability to connect with people and make himself available at any time, any occasion, to any resident in West Bloomfield is why you saw an outpouring of love and respect for him last night.
And so as that is something that was such a point of emphasis from the public about his impact, why do you feel that is important for somebody in a leadership position, whether it's our police chief or other leaders across our community in government or in other capacities, that they take that front row driver's seat to approaching the public and making themselves available to people like you and other residents?
Well, it's important that people in his position in the West Bloomfield Police Department show that they care and they're concerned about each and every citizen. West Bloomfield is a very diverse and culturally diverse city with religiously, ethnically, racially, spiritually. And to show that you care for each citizen is very important. And he has done that throughout his service to West Bloomfield. So I think that's one of the reasons that he's very well respected.
It's no it's no secret that there's been some tumult over recent years in our community through the pandemic, through other incidents that have boiled over across the country and have really caused some very tough conversations in our communities that have been necessary to have. And this is something that was brought up, a sense of safety within those sorts of conversations, within that controversy or within those times of conflict. Vincent Kirkwood from the Township Board had a really interesting thing to say about how Chief Patton has approached those sorts of conversations and made diverse populations in our community feel safe in those moments. Here's a little bit of what he had to say during that recognition.
I want to kind of talk about the culture of the law enforcement within West Bloomfield. And I'm looking at all of the officers here today. Being a black man and understanding the culture that we're in and the time that we're in our society in America, we've seen things done to black men that have scared us. It has scared me. It scared my wife. It scared my brothers. It scared my father. But when I think about the West Bloomfield law enforcement and the fact that I'm raising a black son, and how safe we feel, how encouraged we feel, and it's just a different feeling when I cross over. I'm going to use J. Alexander's because it's the only thing I can think of. But when I get to J. Alexander's, I'm like, wow, after I've come off of Northwestern, I get to J. Alexander's and I'm headed home on Walnut Lake. I just feel a sense of relief. I see the officers, I try to wave, my son waves, but to understand and to know that he's growing up in a community that respects all people, that the law enforcement respects all people, and that he's not afraid, and that I'm not afraid, and that my wife is not afraid, and my daughter's not afraid, and my brothers when they come to visit me, and my dad when they come to visit me, and other cousins, they need to do what they're supposed to do, but they don't feel scared, and I don't feel scared. And I think that is a huge compliment to the culture of West Bloomfield Township, West Bloomfield law enforcement, and to you.
I want to get your reaction to that. Daryl Reed, West Bloomfield resident with us, who's also a fellow member of the West Bloomfield Diversity Task Force alongside Vincent Kirkwood and so many others. And I want to get your reaction to what he said and your thoughts on how Chief Patton has contributed to some important conversations we've had in our community and making people of very diverse communities in Greater West Bloomfield feel safe in West Bloomfield Township.
Well, Vincent is absolutely correct, but I had a personal incident myself when I was shopping at the Ace hardware store on Walnut Lake. I went into the store to buy a wrench. I used my credit card. I'm one of Ace's loyalty customers. And I left the store and I was sitting in my car in the parking lot using my cell phone because it's illegal to drive and use your cell phone handheld. All of a sudden, 2 police cars pulled up from West Bloomfield. 3 armed officers got out and approached my car. Especially since this was during the George Floyd incident, I was very concerned. But they were very professional, they were very polite, and that sort of reflects on the way that Chief Patton trained and set standards in the police department. They explained to me what was going on, and after I got my FOIA report, I never got a definition of what suspicion was. But as I said, the police were very respectful, very professional, very friendly, which put me at ease. Because whenever you have 3 armed officers approach you while you're sitting in your car on your cell phone, there's going to be some concern. Also, Chief Patton was willing to meet with me. And thanks to Terry Weingarten, our treasurer, who helped facilitate that meeting, just shows you how Chief Patton was willing to go above and beyond what was required of him to do to help put me at ease as a citizen of West Bloomfield. And to this day, I don't shop at that Ace hardware store on Walnut Lake. That's just one example of how I respect the police department and the work that, Chief Patton has done while he was chief of police in West Bloomfield.
Yeah, and it does show that there is that dedication after the fact to make sure that everybody involved understands what went on, what may have gone wrong, what could have been done differently, and ultimately brings it to a peaceful resolution. Daryl, before we let you go, I want to get your lasting thoughts on what you believe the lasting impact of Chief Michael Patton will be on the Greater West Bloomfield community.
Well, he's going to be greatly missed, I think, by everyone who's a resident in West Bloomfield who has gotten a chance to meet with him. or know him or see how he operates and ran the police department. He has the most respect. People appreciate him. They love him. Some of the stories that came out last night about the things that he has done to help people, which are those things that are never told in public. He just does what's important to him, what he thinks is the right thing to do, and he's respected for doing that. It's been a pleasure meeting him and knowing him and working with him.
And Daryl, it's been a pleasure also to reflect on his impact on our community with you as well today. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Some very kind words from one of the many residents that Mike Patton has had an impact on during his time as chief of West Bloomfield Police. Now, as I said before the interview, Deputy Chief Dale Young will be taking the oath of office as chief this afternoon, as will Scott Mong to replace Young as deputy chief of police. Stay tuned. They will both be joining Tyler Kieft on the program on Monday for their first weekday in the office. But can't wait to see that. And once again, a big thank you to Mike Patton for everything that he does for the entire community of West Bloomfield. Some big news and a very big event for a local West Bloomfield athlete. This weekend, one of Greater West Bloomfield's biggest stars, Austin Bashi, takes the national stage as he will be making his UFC debut on Saturday, January 11th. Bashi recently joined Civic Center TV's Kevin McIntosh for a preview of his debut fight in the UFC.
And joining us right here live on The Splash is Austin Bashi, MMA fighter from West Bloomfield Township, Michigan. Thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
Man, I love having you on here, Austin, man, representing and doing great things and now making your UFC debut. First and foremost, how does it feel to be making your UFC debut against a seasoned fighter like Christian Rodriguez?
Feels real good. I've been working towards this my whole entire life to be in the UFC and be a UFC champion. I started training when I was 8 years old, and here we are 15 years later, finally in the UFC.
Austin, you're still walking around with this undefeated record, by the way, in case people just don't know. That has not taken a loss. 13-0, 3 wins by knockout, 5 by submission, if I'm reading that correctly. With that being said, what's been your biggest motivation during your undefeated journey to this point in your career?
I've had this dream of mine since a young kid, and I know the only way to achieve this dream is by continuing to work hard each and every day. And that's what got me here today.
Austin, we gotta be realistic, man. You are not only making your UFC debut, so bright lights, bigger crowds, bigger stadium. You're also doing this against an experienced UFC fighter and someone with what some people would call a slight physical advantage. So how are you preparing to face this fighter in this fight?
I've said it before, you go look at my fights I've had in the previous past. I fought some tough people and people with a lot of experience, but that was my whole thing, fighting tough guys, so that way when I am in the UFC and get matched up with people like this guy I'm about to fight, I'm ready for it all.
Yes, man. Either way it go, we are ready to see you kick butt in that ring. And with us right here, live on The Splash, MMA fighter, that's mixed martial artist fighter from West Bloomfield Township, making his UFC debut in January 2025, Austin Bashi, just talking about and breaking down his fight with Christian Rodriguez coming up. Now, from what I've seen, what I've read, my research, your submission game has been a key part of your success so far. Do you pretty much see your submission being a key strategy in your fight against Christian Rodriguez?
For me, it's all about mixing it all up, striking, grappling, and then the reason I do get these submission victories, though, is because usually at that second round, they're usually tired and they usually open up for me. So taking them down and them exposing their neck gives me the choke usually.
First and foremost, I understand that. Like any fighter, any athlete, if you're preparing for a game, a fight, a battle, you want to watch your opponent. You want to watch their previous fights, their previous games. So you don't want to hit them with the same thing they're probably already expecting, which is the submission. So I'm glad you answered it that way. Now I want to slide into another question I feel like is very important. You being from West Bloomfield, obviously we want to highlight that, but I want to talk about, as you are preparing for this big spotlight fight, how has the West Bloomfield community, friends and family, actually helped to support you and prepare you even mentally throughout your career to this point?
Yeah, they've been supporting me for a while here now. Usually when I fought in Michigan, I brought a lot of people to those shows, and those same people are still supporting me, watching me. And even for my Contender Series fight that was in Las Vegas, I brought a pretty good crowd to Vegas with me, and it'll be the same come January.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we just want to acknowledge the fact that, you know, the Greater West Bloomfield Township and just the Greater West Bloomfield area in general, we're all here to support you, Austin. We're definitely looking forward to it. And we want to thank you again for your time. Lastly, before we let you go, do you have any message that you want to send to the fans, the MMA world, or anybody in general as we prepare for this fight in January 2025?
Thank you to everyone who continues to support me, those who supported me in the beginning, and also those new fans who are supporting me now. I appreciate you guys all.
You got a new fan in me, Austin, as well as the team here at Civic Center TV. We appreciate it. Once again, mixed martial artist and making his UFC debut in January from West Bloomfield Township, Austin Bashi. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Austin certainly has a fan in every single one of us here at Civic Center TV, as we wish him the best of luck for his UFC debut tomorrow, January 11th. Lots of other big stories and lots of other big events to get into right after this quick commercial break. Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live. Want to enjoy Civic Center TV on your social media? Find us on Instagram at Civic Center TV. Get notified when we upload one of our interviews, full episodes, and more. Thank you for watching and listening to Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. What people are watching in Orchard Lake, Civic Center TV, and 89.3 Lakes FM.
Hi, I'm Lauren Azuri, the Park Naturalist Supervisor for West Bloomfield Parks. Congratulations to you, Civic Center TV, for hitting 1 million views on YouTube. We really appreciate your partnership in spreading nature education in a creative way in our community. I'm Lauren Azuri, proud to be 1 in a million.
I don't know why you're so sad. You've got a roof over your head.
You gotta stop with that depression stuff. That's what white people think. You alright?
It just feels like it's coming from everywhere.
Do you want to talk about it?
You can talk to me if you're feeling sad.
Whenever you need to talk, I'm here, okay?
And now, back to The Splash, live.
Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Jake Schaff, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. Now, today's Friday. Tomorrow's the weekend, and we are going to be talking about some very big, great things coming up soon. But if you want to catch up on everything that we've been doing here on the Splash Live, you can scan the QR code that is on our screen right now. It'll take you right to civiccentertv.com, so you can have access to all of our packages and all of our stories that we have been taking place all throughout the week ever since we've been back here in 2025. Now, the Lions will not be playing football this weekend because they have a first-round bye. But that doesn't mean that it has stopped Lions Pride from taking over the offices at West Bloomfield Town Hall. After the big game last weekend, I spoke to two of the township's biggest Lions fans for their reaction to the team's success as they continue to pursue a Super Bowl championship.
It's been a lot of fun. I mean, they're playing so well. They've obviously beat their season record of wins, and on the road and at home, it's just been incredible. It's fun to watch. Victory Mondays are my favorite day of the week, and I really enjoyed watching the team do so well this year.
They're doing an amazing job right now as far as dealing with the injuries and still staying positive and keeping that eye on the prize of the Super Bowl and just really bringing a lot of grit this season.
What have been some highlights from this season so far?
I'm a big Aiden Hutchinson fan, so seeing him really take off at the beginning of the year was a highlight. It's a little bit of a bummer where he's at now, but it's really cool seeing some of the guys like J-Mo get better. He's getting into his own. Seeing Amon-Ra really take the team on the back of his shoulders, and it's been a great year.
I think everyone's been a fan of the team for their whole life. I mean, Barry Sanders, Billy Sims, Wayne Fonts, all of it. But it's really picked up for me when Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes took the helm. It's been exciting, their energy, to watch them and see them being interviewed and on the field. It's been incredible to watch.
What is it about seeing this team succeed that's so important for not just the people of West Bloomfield, but for the state of Michigan as a whole?
Well, I look at it as just Detroit. I mean, I think the team has gotten a hard rap, hard knocks for the past few years, actually decades, and the city too. And I feel like they go hand in hand. To see the Lions doing so well, it's hard not to see them both just thriving, and it's great for the city. It's great for West Bloomfield. In fact, I sit at my desk and people come in all the time with Lions attire and Lions hats, and our contractors and customers and residents, and then they see my pennant and we talk, and it's a great way to connect with the people of West Bloomfield.
I think it's something to really get behind as far as relevant Lions football always brings out the best in people. Playing games this far into the year that are we've been playing relevant football for the last 3 years, and it's been really exciting as a Lions fan.
Now, those were their reactions to the Lions before their most recent game against the Minnesota Vikings. And it was even better to see their reactions after that game when we had them on the Splash Live being interviewed by Tyler Keefe, which you can check out their interview on CivicCenterTV.com right now, or by scanning the QR code on your screen right now to see their interview and their post-game reactions to the Lions clinching the #1 seed in the NFC. Now, because the Lions secured that NFC spot with their Week 18 win, they will be off this week and will be beginning their playoff campaign next weekend against either the Rams, Packers, Commanders, or possibly a rematch against those pesky Minnesota Vikings. But we'll see what happens next week. Sports fever is also extending to another very popular pastime here in West Bloomfield, pickleball. As the winter season sets in, outdoor sports are moving indoors, but that is not stopping the pickleball craze right here in West Bloomfield. I recently had the chance to visit the West Bloomfield Sports Center to get a look on how this sport has truly impacted our community.
And it was an absolute blast, so I'm back here doing it again. And anytime I get a chance to play, whether it be a league or for fun, I'm all about it whenever my schedule allows.
I think it's fantastic. I play pickleball sometimes twice a day, but every day. And there's not a pickleball court that I haven't played on. I go everywhere, so I love it.
What would you say are some of the biggest differences from playing it outdoors as opposed to playing indoors as you are right now?
Oh, well, there's a lot of differences. First of all, outside you have to deal with the wind. That's the biggest thing. But once you get used to playing in the wind, it's kind of fun. Obviously, with inside, you've got deals with room, if you can get around, if you can serve comfortably. Sometimes lighting is not great inside, but of course, you have good weather inside all the time, so you can play anytime.
I like it because you don't have to worry about the sun in your eyes, don't have to worry about putting sunblock on and all that good stuff. Or if it's raining, sometimes I've had so many plans ruined because of the rain when I play outdoors. So I really like indoors a lot. It does take a lot of adjusting if you're playing on a gym floor surface, on the other hand, because there are some places that the only option is gym floor surface, and that is a big adjustment because the floor is so different than the dedicated pickleball surface or like a tennis court surface.
We play until we're told we can't play outside. The nets are taken down and we have to find a place indoors, whether it be here at Sports Club or somewhere else down the road at Pickle Rage or Farmington Hills or in the east side over at Bass Pickleball Club. So we find our way to indoors, We embrace it, whether it's be at the YMCA or community center. We're here in Michigan. We'll play wherever.
How great is it to have seen the sport's impact on a community like West Bloomfield?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, we have more courts coming outside every year. You see different municipalities offering more courts because that's what we want. Sometimes it takes numbers to get those courts for us to enjoy. But whether it's outside or indoors, I think that more facilities are offering those programming opportunities for people to play, whether it be drop-in on weekends or ladder leagues during the week or weekends. It's just a fun sport.
Yeah, I think the pickleball community in West Bloomfield has been great. I've played here for several years before I even did the Detroit Pickleball League. And there's more facilities popping up. There's another place called Pickle Rage that just opened up, which is brand new. That's a great new indoor place with dedicated pickleball courts, and I love to see it. The more courts, the better, so I love it.
It's quickly becoming a very popular pastime here in West Bloomfield, and the Sports Club of West Bloomfield is making all of it accessible even in those winter months. So that is very, very great to see, and so much fun to be looking around and seeing all of those residents having a lot of fun with this very, very incredible sport. Free resources for veterans and their families are available in Greater West Bloomfield. Mark your calendars for a vital resource fair happening Thursday, January 23rd from 9 a.m. to noon at the Lion Oaks Golf Course in Wixom. This free event will offer food boxes, assistance with veteran benefits, career planning, training programs, job searches, and even one-on-one time with an employment specialist. Representatives will also provide housing counseling and details about Oakland County parks and recreation opportunities, as well as their veteran transportation program. Don't miss this chance to connect with resources and support designed specifically for you and your family. Head to Lion Oaks Golf Course at 52251 Pontiac Trail to take advantage of these incredible services. But a lot of great things for the community. That's going to do it for us today here on The Splash Live. Big thank you to all of our guests and for all the members of the crew for going out and getting those stories. Live, local, social, it's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.